Wikonomics is with Don Tapscott is one contender, which my wife read, and I got the Cliff Note version. Yes. Speak that. What's that? Smart mobs.
And on km.gov, we actually have a whole book list too that's based on Alice's PhD bibliography.
And yeah, and that's the other thing. So we have a book list on km.gov. That's the other thing, is that folks who are in the government or contracting for the government, we really have an opportunity here. We really do, because think about it. We've got this, this massive organization, okay, or what do you call it? If it's not an organization, it's a collection of organizations that is unrivaled by the private sector. So in the world of social media and Web 2.0, we could make a tremendous difference, not just for corporations to follow as an exemplar, but for the rest of the world. And in that way, it's very exciting. Yes, Neil?
Michael, the one area that I didn't hear you talk much about would be tagging and folksonomy. I think that's really interesting.
Tagging and folksonomy. There is a new book called Now is Gone that gets into that a little bit, and it's a co-author. Well, like most people, I'm still getting into this, but a folksonomy is sort of a local taxonomy. Okay, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's a taxonomy that fits that particular niche culture. And I think of it this way. Why is the Yellow Pages organized alphabetically as a taxonomy? Well, because it's the lowest common denominator, because nobody knows what you're looking for. So folksonomy can take the language and the prioritization and the value and sort of create a local taxonomy. Does that fit with your understanding? Okay.
Socially generated taxonomy.
Socially generated taxonomy. Yeah, that's a grassroots. So we're not putting a bunch of experts together, but rather it has the same sort of patterns that Wikipedias have, that it's socially generated, but ironically becomes fairly well vetted and validated by the community itself. Because nobody can stand to look at something that's wrong, that's right there in print, so they have to go in there and change it. Yeah.
Can you make your slides available to the attendees?
Absolutely. I'll make sure to get, well, you've got a copy, so yeah.
Okay, Michael, thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope that was a good level set.
And that's a perfect primer to get a little discussion going at the table. And you'll see there's 5 questions. Now, for this one, we want to try to report back, but we're very challenged. So, kind of focus on, where you get started on KM 2.0, in the future of KM 2.0 and beyond, and then each table will report back. Also, real quick, surveys were distributed out to everyone. Please take some time and put some comments in. Again, right at the beginning I talked about it. Always looking for ways to improve what we do in these forums to try to exchange information, networking-wise and learning-wise and so forth. So your comments are extremely valuable. And with about 10-12 minutes, we'll close up the buzz session and report back from each table.
So, could you explain what was
what they'd like us to do is do a little summary about.
We do want to take a few minutes. We do want to take a few minutes, and I do mean a few minutes, and very quickly at each table go through with, about a minute highlight of some of what you might have talked about in respect to where you get started with KM 2.0, what the future is, how you might be able to leverage it with an organization. So if we could start with table 1 with just a couple points very quickly.
Okay, I think one of the points that came out was social, these kinds of technologies versus the security issue. Security is a huge issue. How do you deal with that and make use of these technologies at the same time. How do you change a culture, I think was another point, from one where you're gatekeeping what everybody's doing and posting to one where people are accountable, both for their behavior and for their knowledge. I think those are kind of the two main things.
Great. Table 2, some highlights.
So I think one of the major themes we came up with was that in an organization, sometimes in order to make these things work and consistent with whatever the mission or goals are, is not always straightforward. And you end up sometimes with a scattered set of things that doesn't come together in a focused way. And we were saying here that in order to make it work easily enough to work well together, you need a fairly large investment in setting up the system to work naturally and easily.
Very good points. Table 3, couple highlights.
I would say the main thing we said is that you have to, in thinking about CAM 2.0, you have to think about people. You have to build people into the equation. And so, whereas collaboration with CAM 1.0, you're possibly thinking about aggregating information. How do you navigate from information to people and then back to information to people, and how is that all one connected web with people equal to information?
Social dynamics of all that. Absolutely. Table 4.
Well, we all agreed that we're cautious late adopters who really are reluctant to incorporate Web 2.0, except possibly tagging and folksonomy, which I think are practical, but we're reluctant to go into virtual worlds.
Okay. And do you think that that's what most organizations would see?
I don't know.
I think definitely in the .mil domain, where security and compartmentalizing information is important, Web 2.0 really challenges that notion.
Very good point. And yes, a lot of government agencies, the challenges that have been mentioned, I definitely see that. And then last, table 5.
Well, it's interesting because we talked about each of these topics that each of the other tables said, but we also talked about the future and 3.0 and what that means as far as trying to use virtual worlds for learning and for education, and whether or not that would be maybe the driving force to bring virtual worlds into an organization or into an agency, that type of thing. So that's something I'm excited about, and maybe that would be one way to get virtual worlds into an organization by learning better.
Absolutely. And you can see a lot of similar discussions, just like I'm sure they were for the other buzz topics. That concludes the formal parts. Again, you don't need to exactly rush out. Obviously, we need to move out here fairly quick, but there's still some food. Please take some time with the survey. Also, get a drink very quickly. Use the restroom if you need to. We have one more speaker, and we want to try to finish this up in 30 minutes.